Welcome to the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. My name is JT Olson. With me, as always, is my co-host Garrett Ballard. Garrett, how are you feeling on this post-draft Monday?
I'm feeling pretty good. I like a lot of what the Bucs did. Not everything, but most of it. It was a fun weekend. Got to watch it with some friends, some family. It was a good time, as always. How about you?
I'm kind of the less optimistic one here. Didn't love a lot of what the Bucks did, but we'll get more into that. But honestly, the draft is always just fun to watch. Get some wings. You know, these players, we study them for months and months leading up to the draft. I know I start in like August, September. I'm sure you do the same.
Oh yeah,
It's just fun to see the class come full circle, and honestly, it's kind of fun to just be done with this class.
definitely. It all culminates in a big event. That's always a good time to enjoy. So
Well, let's talk about the big takeaway from the draft, and that is the Bucks class. Obviously, traded out of the first round. No first round pick to talk about. We acquired a fourth and a sixth round pick at the top of each of those rounds, so always nice to trade back and get some value. And then taking Logan Hall, defensive end tackle lineman thing out of Houston. Garrett, what were your thoughts on Logan Hall? I know we talked about him last week.
yeah, so I do remember us saying that would be our what did we call it? Um,
Like a doomsday scenario.
Doomsday scenario. That's exactly what it was. And I do feel like of all the options that were on the table, it was the one that I was least favorable for. Like all the Lewis Sign, Dax Hill. I might have come around on Devontae Wyatt not being my favorite pick. But specifically the safeties, I really liked both of those safeties, and they were both on the board when we held our original pick, and both went off the board between 27 and 33. Uh, I really wanted Minnesota to pass on Lewis Sign at 32 because I felt like if he was there at 33, we would have drafted him. Uh, but I really don't know because I think they were really, really high on Logan Hall. And I feel like they would have drafted him at 33, even if Sign was there, to be honest. With all that said, I like the pick. I think Logan Hall is exactly what they need. Obviously, we're not looking for another like outside linebacker. We're looking for that 3-4 defensive end, that five tech, or five, yeah, who's gonna come in, uh, play behind, ideally in the first year, Sue and William Golston, kind of like how we did with Joe Tryon with JPP last year, and then he takes over next year. Um, I don't really know what's going on with Sue. If he doesn't come back, I feel like the adjustment will take some time for Logan Hall because right now he is only 280 pounds, which is too small. But his pad gets too high. His pads get too high on occasion, but that's a correctable a thing. And the big takeaway for me from his game, he's fast, he's explosive, he's a gap shooter, he's one of the highest motor players in this class. Relentless effort at all times. I'm a fan of the pick. I'm a fan of the pick.
Yeah, there are definitely things to like about it. His athleticism, he tested an off the charts athlete. He was a 9.8 on the RAS scale, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah.
So that's really good. He's only 22, so he's young. His best football is probably ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
His athleticism shows up on tape.
Oh yeah.
He You mentioned he gets too high, and that's going to happen when you're 6'6".
Mm.
At the same time, he's fluid and flexible enough to correct that pad level. There are some guys who are
Yes.
stiff; they're never going to get low. But him at 6'6", he can get as low as anyone, and when he does, he kind of dominates.
He's strong.
Yeah, when he
Like
keeps
his
that pad level
hands.
low and he uses his hands
Yeah.
well,
His hands
he
are
can
like
crush.
they're pretty powerful. So, um, like when it's all together, that's like a first round player if it's all together at all the time. Obviously, it won't be, but that's what we have coaches for. That's what he'll be developing. Um, I don't hate the pick as much as I did a week ago. So
With all those positive things said about him, here's where I'm at. For me, the draft is all about opportunity cost. When you pick something, when you pick a player, you're surrendering every other option you could have taken with that pick. in this case, you mentioned it. Dax Hill, I would have rather had. We could have had him at 27.
Right.
Lewis Scene. Hello.
Lewis. I always say his last name wrong too. I say Sign. That's
It might be
incorrect.
Sign.
I think it's Scene.
Devontae Wyatt I had higher over Logan Hall, and he went the pick after 27 to the Packers.
True.
So those are the players you gave up. Even Travis Jones, who was on the board at 33, I know you weren't as high as on because you see him more as a pure nose. I see him more as kind of a 1/3 tech. He's someone I would have rather had. So those are what we gave up to get Logan Hall.
Right.
You mentioned Logan Hall weighed in at 280 at the combine. Undersized, especially for what the Bucs like to do. They like big, powerful defensive linemen. William Golston, 300 pounds. Ndamukong Suh, over 300 pounds. Vita Vea, a ton.
Yeah.
Logan Hall bulked up for the combine. He was listed in the 260s at Houston. So he is tall and he is lean. Can they put 20 more pounds on him? Probably. I mean, he's such a good athlete. You'd like to think they could.
I think he also has the frame for it. Like, he's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like 6'6". He's tall. And when he's on the field, he looks skinny. Like, you see him and you're like, he could put weight on. I think they're going to try to, at least.
And I agree. I think they can. I don't know if he'll get there this year. And even if he does, it'll be an adjustment to his athleticism.
For sure. I definitely think it's going to take whether he's on the field on a snap-to-snap basis, like that first guy in a rotation if Suh doesn't come back, or if he's in that rotation, like not starting, but firmly entrenched, it'll take a year for him to get fully situated and adjusted to what his role. So.
Mm-hmm. So I think we both agree on the projection of what Hall can be this year in terms of rotation and what his potential could be. Let me ask you a yes or no question.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, today, in what is likely Tom Brady's last year, is Logan Hall a good NFL caliber football player?
Yes.
See, I disagree. I think he can be. I think he flashes it. Right now, he's just not consistent enough for me to call him a good player.
See, I understand what you're saying, but I think the snap-to-snap consistency of the motor, the effort, the high intensity, the power, the athleticism, it's like I watched a couple games the day after he got drafted. The dude's getting like double teamed and triple teamed pretty regularly. Obviously, he's at Houston, so he's going to be dominating that competition. But I don't see any issue or any reason why I don't think he can just come in and be a really effective player. Maybe not like get sacks, like crazy numbers, like off rip, but I think he can come in, be disruptive, be what we need him to be, just make things difficult for the opposing offense.
I think he'll have flashes because that's what he had at Houston, and when he does it, you see the talent, you see the potential. Like we said, when he's low, when his hands are good, he can shoot those gaps. He's so fast off the ball. It's just, how many plays out of 10 are you getting that? Maybe 3?
Because I think it's more than that.
Maybe it is, but if he doesn't win off the line of scrimmage, off the snap, at 280, 270, 290, wherever he is, he's not so powerful that he can hold the point of attack against NFL caliber guards.
It will be interesting to kind of keep track of his progression through training camp and the preseason to kind of see what the defensive staff wants to use him as. Like, are they going to use him as like a hybrid? Because if they are, I could see them keeping him at 280 because I know they love versatility. Like, they drop Vita Vea into coverage pretty frequently, honestly. So it's going to be really, really fun to watch how they use him because I do think he can be a really, 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 really good player for us with that. Like, I'll always bet on athleticism for D-line. Like, it's such a projectable thing. Like, it's not always projectable at every position. D-line is one of those positions where it's like, yeah, this is pretty projectable. Like, this guy is going to be pretty good if he can, like, get a little bit of technique down. And I don't think Logan Hall has no technique. I think he's got some good hands. Like I said, he has a pretty filthy swim move. that he uses pretty frequently that he used pretty frequently at Houston. That was worked really well for him. So I'm interested to see his progression early in the year.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I haven't been more interested to watch a player in training camp since Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Just how is this guy going to progress? What is he going to do? How are they going to use him? I mean, there's so much projection here. It's going to be interesting. And it's going to be hard not to live and die on every snap. Like if Ryan Jensen gets out and washes Logan Hall out, or Tristan Wirf down blocks him and just obliterated him, it's going to feel like, oh, this was such a terrible pick. But when he uses that swim move on Shaq Mason, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. This was it. Yeah. I was wrong all along.
At the end of the day, he's a rookie from a small school making the adjustment to the NFL, playing on one of the best teams in the league. It's going to take some time, so no one needs to panic right out of the gate. Like I know Bucs fans like to panic pretty frequently. But one thing I do want to ask you about this pick and just the draft in general, you spoke of opportunity cost, specifically with the trade down, giving up all those options. In hindsight, do the picks that we ended up getting from the trade down, beginning of the 4th round, and then the beginning of the 6th round, which I think we packaged to trade up, right?
Yes, I think that was part of the. I don't want to say CJ McCollum.
Yeah, Zion.
Zion McCollum.
Do those make up for it for you?
I think there's a lot of projection in that package.
Of course, yeah.
Because
they are 2 day 3
picks. There's a lot of projection.
Right? Yeah.
I really like what Zion McCollum could be. We'll talk a little bit about him later. But he's another one of those incredible athletes who has off the chart measurables. So, I mean, there's so much projection there. I'll say no because I don't know what I have right now, particularly with the one sure thing we do know being Kade Otton. I wasn't super impressed with him coming in. He's just
really,
yeah, he's just kind of a guy for me. He's okay, but
yeah,
we'll
we
get more
definitely
into him later.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, I think this is going to be interesting because I think we're going to disagree on a lot of parts of this draft, except I think probably a couple picks. But
well, let's jump to the next one then. Another small school guy playing in the trenches, the Central Michigan University's own Luke Godeki. Yep. What were your thoughts on our other 2nd round pick?
They picked the correct Central Michigan offensive lineman. Godeki is a freaking beast, man. That guy's new to the position. How old is he? Like 22, right?
He's a little bit older, I think. I think he's 24.
Okay. Oh, he is. Yeah, he is older, but again, he came to Central Michigan as like a tight end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they started moving him to the offensive line. So a lot of upside there, but the dude is a mauler. Like I remember there was an interview that's been going around on Twitter where he's just like, I love like putting the fear of God in people on the field. He's like, and like, I'm a glass eater. Like the dude's a freak. The dude's insane. He's definitely that like, it's interesting because we, before this, the only guy like that on our offensive line was Ryan Jensen and maybe Donovan Smith. I think Donovan Smith has a bit of a mean streak. But like you look at Wirfs, you look at Ali Marpet, and then you look at Kappa. Those guys are just like, I'll just do my job and move on to the next play. Now we got an interior offensive line of guys who are just going to make you feel it after the play too. They're going to drive you into the dirt and just lay on top of you. Like this is a new look Bucs offensive line. It's violent, it's nasty, and I'm a huge fan. I love this pick. I know it is tough because I think there's one name on the board that I think we are both thinking about, and that's Sean Ryan, who is still available. But I try my best. It's tough. I try my best not to get hung up on like a guy who I think is good, even though we picked a good player. That might not have been the best way of wording that. Did that make sense?
It makes sense to me because my head's in the same space.
We got a good player despite one being on the board. I didn't like do a huge big board this year. I feel like Godeki and Ryan probably would have been around the similar spot. Um, Probably right around that like 50-60 range for me. So I have no issue with this pick, even with Ryan being on the board. I would have been happy either way.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about Ryan when we did our offensive line preview, and I mentioned that Sean Ryan is in my top 20 overall player. So
Yeah.
I was very high on Sean Ryan.
Right.
So passing on him was a disappointment. With that being said, I really like Luke Godeki.
Right.
For so many reasons. One, his mentality, you just touched on it. He calls himself a glass eater. He pancakes people. He drives people into the dirt. A play through the whistle kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want in your trenches. I mean, you don't have to have it, but you want someone who's looking to physically hurt his opponent.
Oh, yeah.
What the other thing I really like about him is his movement ability. You think a guy, he's kind of similar to Alex Kappa in some ways. He's just much more polished and much more fluid. He gets out into space super well, and he's great at the second level. When you make
it's
blocks like
pretty
that,
fun.
Yeah, that's where big plays happen.
Yep. And we know how much this team likes running the ball. It frustrates me a lot when they run the ball on first down. But this is a guy that's going to help with that. He didn't test at the combine, I'm seeing, but that's okay.
I think he had a hamstring injury at the Senior Bowl, so I don't know if he was healthy.
Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to see if he had any testing numbers. But like you said, he has really, really nice ability to climb to the second level and just seal off those linebackers, throw them into the ground, and then make a big running play for whoever's going to be running the ball. But like the pick, I think you are maybe a little bit lower on it than me because of just how high you had Ryan.
I don't know if I'm lower on it. I think this was the Bucs' best player they drafted. I really like Luke Godeki. Despite not getting Sean Ryan, I like this pick.
Yeah, I think for me, this is one of my 3 favorite selections.
And you talked about running the ball. Garrett, do you know who was college football's leading rusher last year?
Was it Rashad White?
It was not. It was Central Michigan's Lou Nichols.
Oh, I thought that was a phenomenal segue for a second.
Gosh. It would have been. It just would have been a lie.
Yeah.
But Godeki is a big part of why CMU had the nation's leading rusher, not Kenneth Walker, who won the Doak Walker Award, or any of these other big school players.
Brees Hall, like any of them, yeah.
Lou Nichols, Central Michigan University.
I do want to, real quick, oh my gosh, what was I going to say? No, this was a good question. I'm so upset. Oh, okay, yeah. This has been on my mind for a couple days, so the fact that it slipped me right there really frustrated me. But as soon as this pick happened, for those of you who are unaware, Godeki played tackle in college. Will play guard in the NFL. I wonder if they are viewing Robert Hainsey as strictly a center. Because I feel like they wouldn't pick a guard here if they didn't.
That or it's a reflection of how they feel about Robert Hainsey. Because Hainsey played tackle at Notre Dame, so they both played tackle in college, so you'd think they'd have that similar versatility. Right.
I know they were working Hainsey at center, but it's interesting. This is going to be another one to follow, like in training camp when the probably the second team, maybe the first team, if Godeki gets first team snaps, I don't know. But just whenever they're on the field, if they're on the field together, or if one of them's up, one of them's not, just kind of keep track of who's where, because this might be a indication of how they view Hainsey, where they view Hainsey after spending a pretty premium draft pick on him last year.
Yeah, and I'll come out and say it all right now. I think Godeki wins the starting guard job out of training camp. I think he beats out Skinny
as well,
and I think he beats out Hainsey.
Whoever else, yeah, I do as well. I feel like Godeki's more talented. Hainsey last year, I was kind of like, I was like, but
yeah, he wasn't even really on my radar.
Yeah, he was I didn't really expect it at all, to be honest, when they drafted him. But depth is good.
Yeah, always. And if you've got Hainsey and Stinney as your backup interior, that's a solid depth.
That's very, very good.
One position we did expect the Bucs to draft this year was running back, and they drafted Arizona State's Rachaad White.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on this player, not the leading rusher in college football, but still a good running back?
Yeah, I thought this was the correct approach to what Bruce Arians said they were going to do when they drafted Keyshawn Vaughn. This is a good receiving running back. Vaughn, when they drafted him, my mind was blown. I was like, what are they doing? But they came out and they got a good one now. I think Rachaad White, talented running back. Did he test? I can't remember.
I think he tested, and I think he tested pretty well.
From what I remember, he's a good athlete. Not going to be the most consistent runner, but from a receiving standpoint, this is one of the better options in this draft. Yeah, here we are. Let's see. Oh gosh, I have this zoomed out. 40-yard dash, 4.48, 38 inches in the vert, 125 inches in the broad. Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think this is everything the Bucs wanted, and they've always said they wanted in their depth running back.
But never done it. It's been so weird. They're like, yeah, we want this. They just don't address it.
It's like they don't see what we see. And like you said, Keyshawn Vaughn, I think the minute that pick was made, we were out on what he was. I think I had him as a 5th-round player coming out that year.
I did too.
Rachaad White's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good player. This is not only a Keyshawn Vaughn replacement. I think he'll probably be above Gio Bernard on the depth chart, except for maybe very obvious passing situations.
Right.
He's a good athlete. He's a really good pass catcher, and I think he's got good vision. I was listening to an interview of him the other day, and he said he really patterns his game after Le'Veon Bell. Just the patience and the vision he tries to approach the game with. He feels like that's his greatest strength. I think he's going to be a really good change of pace because he's a different player than Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, bigger, more physical. This guy, a little smaller. I don't want to call him finesse, but he's a little more finesse.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just really solid all the way around.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at what the Bucs put out. Just like a little stat. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry last year. Had 48 receptions, which is good. I have no complaints about this pick. I mean, drafting a running back in the 3rd round is not that's probably a complaint. I wouldn't spend a 3rd-round pick on a running back typically, so that wasn't my favorite. But I think the player's fine. The value might be a little off for me, but the player's fine.
For me, we talked about opportunity cost. I think this is one where you live with the opportunity cost to get your guy, because White probably wasn't going to be there in the 4th round, because we know at the top of the 4th round they would have probably either taken him or Kade Otton, and you're losing one of your 2 guys there.
Right, and that when we know they really liked Kade Otton.
Mm-hmm. So. Side note, is there any team in the NFL who telegraphs their picks more than the Bucs?
Oh, there cannot be.
They had White in for 4 interviews. They had Hall in for 3 interviews. They interviewed Otton. I mean, they just do not give a shit.
It's insane. The only one that I was like, yeah, they don't. I wasn't expecting was Godeki. I was like, okay, I didn't see them talk about him a lot, but oh my gosh, it feels like every single year their 1st-round pick is we know who it is 3 weeks before.
Yeah, it's really a bummer because I was just dwelling on this Hall pick for a week. No, I don't want this. Don't do it. Anyone else? Daxton Hill, please, someone save me.
Yeah.
But in this case, I don't mind it because I like White.
Yeah, I mean, I like it's just the position. Running back value is weird. But this is a guy who's, I mean, we have Leonard Fournette for the next 3 years. This will be a nice 1-2 punch.
Yep, set at the position. Don't have to give
it was one of the 3 holes on offense, and they addressed them with 3 straight picks. So,
well, let's move on to one of the other holes on offense, which was tight end. Mm-hmm. 4th round, at the top of the round, they picked Kade Otton out of Washington. You sound like you're higher on him than I am. Talk me into it.
Yeah, I think this guy, if he didn't get hurt midseason, was going to be a lock day 2 pick, like lock. I mean, like mid day 2. But then he got hurt. I also think the Washington offense did him zero favors. But there's clips of this guy just putting DBs in a blender. This is a smooth moving tight end, fluid, fast. I think he's great route runner, great hands, good blocker. He's really all around just good. And I think even if Gronk doesn't come back, Cam Brate's going to be a perfect mentor for this guy. I think they're pretty similar receiving. I think Otton probably has more upside, but I think they play the position pretty similarly when they're going out for passes. Blocking, he's a better blocker than Brate already. I think this is a guy who's going to come in, impact the game immediately, see the field a lot early, and is gonna impress a lot of people.
See, that's the kind of description I want. It makes me want to go back and watch him again.
He's good, man. I'm a huge fan of Kade Otton.
See, maybe my problem is the biggest game that sticks out to me is the game they played against Michigan at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
He lined up against Daxton Hill a lot, and I want to see all our players against good competition. Where's the bar? How good are you compared to the best?
Right.
Maybe I need to just get a palate cleanser and watch him against like Utah's Southern Valley or something.
Yeah. The other thing about that Michigan game is that Washington was like just bad. That like all around bad that game. Like I don't think there was a positive, but.
No, that was fresh off their loss to Montana the week before, I think.
Yeah.
And their quarterback play was not good. I don't know if it got better throughout the year, but it was not good. So that's one I want to be higher on. For me, I just didn't see being really good at anything. I saw a guy who's okay blocker, okay pass catcher, a guy who does things okay, to even some things well, but there wasn't a moment where I thought this is where he's going to hang his hat. This is where he's going to win in the NFL. Nothing really stood out to me about Kade Otton. So,
hello, am I here? My Wi-Fi freaked out.
I've got you. Hello, welcome back.
Oh my gosh, thank you. All right, we're good. Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi is just. I'm literally right next to the router. I don't know what's going on, but. Yeah, Otton, I would fully suggest you go back and watch some more games of his. Don't start out with that Michigan game because I do feel like you'll come away impressed because he's a really, 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 really good player. I think that right before you cut out or I cut out, I heard you saying their quarterback play was bad. It doesn't really get better. It's pretty frustrating watching it, but Otton is a good watch. He's a really, really. I don't typically like tight ends, like watching them. But he made it a good time. So,
yeah, I'll probably treat myself to some more Pac-12 after dark tonight.
Yeah,
get some fresh eyes on him, another perspective. Our next pick. This is the one everyone's talking about.
Yeah, of course.
Because coming into this draft, everyone was saying you got to get a piece of that Georgia defense. You got to get a piece of that Georgia defense. It's the best ever. Yep. You know who really helped out that Georgia defense?
Their punter.
That's what's
Yep.
Tell me why this was a pick.
It was a pick because we need a punter. Bradley Pinion was like bottom 5 in the league. And Jake Camarda was one of the best 3 punters in the NCAA last year. Let me try and I was going to look up punter stats, but this guy's near the top of it, like in pinning teams within the 20-yard line, like very good average on his kicks. I know everyone's like, oh, the punt god. Ariza, yeah, but I think I saw something of he's like a really, really low in accuracy and like getting his punts not be touchbacks. I think when I saw it, I was like, damn, Zion McCollum is right there. We need a corner. So I was kind of pissed, but not anymore really. So.
Yeah, I won't even begin to pretend like I cared about any kind of punting stats or watched any kind of punting film coming out.
I didn't watch any film. I just saw them when he got drafted.
The only stat I care about is one Pat McAfee endorsed tweet for this punter.
We're good.
Yep. Hey, who knows punters better than Pat McAfee? Came out
Exactly.
right away, said, yeah, I always knew this was going to be a pro, super impressive guy. All right. In terms of punters, sign me up. In terms of fourth-round picks, not so much. And you talked about Zion McCollum was still on the board. Would have loved to grab him. Did grab him. We'll talk about him here in a minute. My top-rated quarterback was still on the board at this point in the fourth round. And yeah, we feel the same about Kyle Trask. Not super high. Even if you are someone who's super high on Kyle Trask, you believe he is the next guy in line to follow Brady, why not hedge that bet? Go get Sam Howell and use that pick on potentially Brady's successor. Let him battle it out with Kyle Trask. Even if you believe in him, it can't hurt to have more good young talent behind Tom Brady. So in terms of value, yeah, Jason Light, you draft too many kickers.
Yeah, the value's not great. I definitely would probably use it somewhere else, but you won't catch me complaining because I did think Bradley Pinion costed us a lot of points last season by giving us just awful field position.
But I don't think he has any dead money at this point. I think
you're correct.
With no criticism.
You are correct. I do want to say I would not have used this on a quarterback. I think using a day 3 pick on a quarterback has gone well once, and we have that player on our team. I'm probably wrong in that. There's probably
what was Dak Prescott? He was like third or fourth.
He was fourth round. Yeah. Okay, so twice, 2 current starters have been day 3 picks, and it's gone well.
And I don't know when you cut out, but Sam Howell is my top-rated quarterback in this class.
Yeah,
he would have been my top-rated player that we drafted.
Yeah, Sam Howell does not excite me whatsoever. Like I see him, and I'm like, he did more with his legs than his arm this year. Count me out. Like this, it's not like a Lamar Jackson deal where doing more with your legs is a good thing. This is like a thing where it's like, oh, you couldn't pass, so you ran. I'm out.
Mm-hmm. But even if you're not in on Sam Howell, like you said, Zion McCollum, there were
definitely the value's not good. I won't dispute that. The value's not good. Like I would have much rather Matt Araiza in the 6th than Camarda in the 4th. So
right. I mean, if the Bucs didn't take this guy in the 4th round, Georgia punter, whose name I haven't bothered to learn yet, when do you think he would have been drafted? It's hard to say with certainty that he would have been drafted just because of the value of the position. And even if he turns into a great punter, I mean, could have got him in the 6th, could have got him in the 7th. He could have gone undrafted. Punters, kickers do it all the time.
Yeah. I do apologize. I think we have some storms going overhead, so that might be why my thing is being uncooperative right now, but I'm cutting out every now and then. But value, stinky. I don't really mind the punter pick. I was hoping they'd do it at some point, just probably not as early as the 4th round.
Agreed. Fine with drafting a punter just when you draft a punter. That's like a 7th round specific. Maybe 6 if he's your guy. 4th, you can. Jordan Whitehead was a 4th round pick.
Yep.
Juan Alexander with a 4th round pick. You can get good starters in the 4th round.
You can. Speaking of people that I really wanted with this 4th round pick, the next one, Zion McCollum. This was a guy that a lot of people expected to go pretty early on day 3. What did he run? A 4.33 at the combine? He's like freaky athletic. I think he's the best athlete ever at corner.
He was a perfect 10. He was the Jelani Woods of cornerbacks.
Yeah, it's absurd. Let me pull up his testing numbers just so everyone can kind of understand what we're getting at. Okay, so
he tested in everything, I think, didn't he?
Let's see.
40
broad
jumps.
Yep, everything. And he was not below a 89th percentile in anything that was required him moving. His arms and hands are small, but that's the only thing that's weird about his but yeah, here are his numbers. 4.33 40-yard dash, jumped 40 inches in the vertical, jumped 132 inches in the broad jump, ran a 6.48 3-cone and a 3.94 20-yard shuttle. His comparable players, let's see. No one's super exciting. Stephon Gilmore's there, so that's exciting.
Good player.
Yeah, wait, how big is he again?
6'2".
6'2". Yeah, 6'2", and he's moving like that. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my God. If you're not drafting him early on day 3, what are you doing? That guy is insane. Nothing I could say that would make me upset about this pick. This is a fantastic pick.
Yeah, in terms of value and what potential this holds, this is my favorite pick in the draft.
Oh yeah, me too. Like I think it goes this pick, Kade Otton, Godeki, and then Hall for me. I think. I mean, I didn't watch a ton of McCollum. I'm gonna have to soon, but I mean, I watched a little bit of him between yesterday, I guess. But on Sunday, I need to watch more. But I mean, you will never ever find me saying that a day 3 pick used on a guy with never before seen athleticism was bad. This is tremendous.
And I watched him today because he was the draft pick that
Awesome.
one of the most least familiar with. I mean, again, I did not watch the Georgia punter or our 7th round pick at the end there, but this is one I think can make an impact. So I went and watched him today. McCollum is not just a workout warrior. This athleticism shows up on tape. He is fast and he's super fluid. You expect a guy who's 6'2" to be kind of clunky. He is not at all. He is as smooth as silk. And
music in my ears.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, okay, he played Sam Houston State. The competition, how fast is that receiver he's smothering? I don't care because the combine only verified what we saw on tape.
Yeah,
you know, he's fast. Everything shows it.
Yeah, it's like that common argument. It's like, oh, this quarterback made a super nice layered throw. Oh, it's against Montana State. I don't care. It's a great throw. A great throw is a good throw. Fast is fast. I don't care who you're playing. It's impressive.
And it was so impressive. I don't think I've seen a guy this blend of size and movement ability since Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
And it was to the point okay, he's smothering this guy. This opponent must not be very good. This receiver's not very good. Is he as fast as he looks on tape? He just makes it look that easy. It's effortless.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's going to beat Jalen Ramsey because
that's unlikely.
Yeah. But to have those kind of physical tools and that kind of tape, even against lower competition,
it's promising.
It's worth a pick here. It's an exciting pick here.
Did you see the story about them at the Combine or the Senior Bowl, I think?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so the Bucs met with McCollum at the Senior Bowl, and they were talking to him. They were like, what do you think you're going to run at the Combine? And he was like, I'm going to run in the 4.3s, at worst low 4.4s. And he said, and the Bucs were like, if you run below 4.45, we're going to draft you. And then he went to the Combine, ran a 4.33, and then apparently the Bucs texted his agent, McCollum's agent, Zion McCollum's going to be a Buccaneer.
What do you think
2 months later
thinking right there?
He's
in the moment of the draft, Bucs are on the clock at the end of the 4th round, not having a pick until the 7th round. It's like, oh yeah, this is my guy.
Exactly.
And they take a punter.
And you're like, you're like, are you kidding me? You're like, no. And then lo and behold, the picks that we got, what did we trade? The 6th and
a 4th next year.
A 4th next year, that's what it was. I don't mind that either. I mean, a 6th is virtually nothing in this draft. I think the talent was well out by the 6th round. And then a 4th next year, whatever.
Well, here's my thing with that. I would spend a 4th round pick on Zion McCollum.
Yes.
And I'd rather have him now, the year before most of our corners are going to be free agents, so he could potentially step in and start next year.
Yep.
So this is a good investment of a 4th round pick to get a 5th round pick.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. You said it way more elegantly than I did, but yes, I definitely agree with that.
All right. Next pick. 6th round. Traded multiple 7ths, I believe, to go up and get Minnesota tight end. I'm going to butcher this name. Coffee?
Oh, that's definitely wrong. It's
Keith?
Keeft. I want to say Keeft.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, Kieft. I don't know, something like that. But I really thought this was for Smoke Monday. this safety from Auburn. Like
there was a lot of smoke around that.
A lot of smoke around smoke. But I really thought this was going to be Smoke Monday. When I saw it was another tight end, and I was like, who? Like, I don't know who this is.
I had no idea. He was not even. You could have told me that was a fake person, and I would have laughed and believed it.
Just a little bit of scouring Twitter. I found out that he's a lot of people are like, this is the best blocking tight end at the draft. So 5th offensive lineman. He ran like a 5-second 40, so it's not going to be a receiving threat at all. So
which is fine for me because we need a blocking tight end because Cam Braid is not good at it. Rob Gronkowski might not be back.
Has a robotic leg as well. Like, it's not the best situation. And you're not going to trust fully Kade Otton to put on the role of a once Rob Gronkowski blocking load. Like, that's a lot. And it's pretty important if you're going to put him out there that he hits his marks. So I think it's a nice security blanket.
Definitely. And as much as I absolutely love with all my soul seeing Vita Vea line up at fullback, I don't want one of my most important defensive players jamming up the line of scrimmage and just battering ram.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way to frame that.
So, blocking tight end, goal line fullback,
cool with it.
Special teams play. I'll take that. I'll take that in the 6th round.
Yep. Next one, an edge, Andre Anthony from LSU. This, I think, has zero. Literally, I don't think it has any upside. The dude is 26.
26?
He's 26. He has had so little production in his time at LSU. I just don't like. It's very hard to say you wasted a 7th round pick, but like I see no reason why this guy's going to make it out of OTAs or training camp or whatever. Like, this is just not going to provide any value. And if I'm wrong, call me out. I don't care. Please. I just don't see any value in this.
Yeah, it almost feels like a throwaway at 26. I mean,
you love Smoke Monday so much. Friggin' draft him here. He went undrafted and the Saints picked him up. Why are you doing that? Like, I don't get it.
Or the plethora of wide receivers they bought in as undrafted free agents. I mean, obviously they like those guys, and there's potential as return there.
I feel like it would have been easier to get this guy as a UDFA than a lot of the people that you didn't draft. I mean,
yeah, and really, I know nothing about this player and what he brings to the table. I know he went to LSU. I didn't even know his name before you just read it because at best, he's a dart throw. In reality, I don't want this to sound too harsh. He's irrelevant.
I mean, look, like I said, this is going to provide no value. Like, I don't think this guy's going to see the field outside of the practice facilities. Andre, no offense to you if you hear this. Wish you the best on your journey, but that's just our opinion.
Andre Robinson / Williamson / Smith. I already forgot his name.
Anthony.
Big fan of the pod.
Andre Anthony. That was so disrespectful. I'm sorry. Oh my God, that was rude. I feel bad.
I can't. I'm sorry. May you go with God, Andre.
I hope it works out. He's not going to hear this, but I hope it works out for him.
Yeah, we wish him the best, but I have no reason to believe he's going to stick on this team.
No expectations.
Maybe a nice future in coaching. All right. If you were to give this Bucs draft a grade overall, what would you grade the entire haul on?
Hello?
We got you. Can you hear us?
Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. I'm sorry.
No, we hear you. Yep. You're good. Come back. Okay.
We're good.
Give this haul a letter grade. Is this an A class? Is it a B class? Where are you overall?
Are we doing plus minus?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do it's between 2. I think it's pretty, let me see. Don't really care about these. Can I just exclude the 6th and 7th round picks, like the tight end and edge rusher?
Sure. You grade it on the scale you want to grade. I'm gonna take it from me. Grading is subjective.
Of course. That's a starter. That's a starter. Significant role player. I think a future starter. Starter. I think a future low-end starter. One of the starters is a punter, by the way. Yeah, I will give it a B minus. Because I think I like a lot of the players. I like most of the players they drafted. I just think the value was a little bit off for some of them. So
Okay, so kind of the theme of our whole pod here. You're a little bit higher than me. I gave it a C.
Okay, I was this close to giving it a C plus. So I mean,
but I think as critical as I was on some of these picks, you go down and you look at it. You got a starting left guard. You got a starting punter. You got a significant running back who's going to be part of your rotation. He's going to be a significant piece of your offense.
Yep.
You probably got a contributor at defensive tackle. As low as I am in him right now, he's going to do something.
He'll start eventually. Like he will be a starter.
I hope so.
For how high this team is, he'll start.
And then maybe a starting fullback, and that's the guy who's going to get maybe 10 snaps a game.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe a future starting DB too, depending on how things go.
Yeah, so there's a lot of guys who you could see filling roles and doing well. I just, like you said, value where we got some of these guys who we could have got instead really hurt this class for me.
Yeah, one thing I do also want to say is something that would have really changed my mind. Like Logan Hall, if this happened, probably would have been my favorite pick. Is if they traded down again.
There was rumors.
I think there were rumors, and of course you're going to get calls about the 33rd pick because teams are going to want to come up and get the guy they like that fell out of the first round. I don't think they wanted to chance it. I can't blame them. But I feel like Houston, I don't know, maybe they wanted to take Breece Hall. I feel like I remember hearing someone say that they wanted to get up and take Breece Hall. They were picking like 4 or 5 picks behind the Bucs. That's another 5th round pick, probably 5th and 7th, maybe. I would have taken that. Felt pretty safe that you could still get Logan Hall. That would have made me a lot happier than just taking him at 33 outright. But I'm overall fine with it.
Yeah, that kind of trade, it prevents you from giving up next year's 4th to get Zion McCollum.
Exactly.
And it seems insignificant. And, we talk about luxury picks and, it's not that big a deal. There are no luxury picks. Everything is relevant. And you can get good players with that 4th round pick that you gave up. And you got a good player with that 5th round pick, so I'm not mad about it. But you had a chance to acquire more picks and not give up assets to get that same player. Who knows who's going to be in the 4th round next year? I mean, that's so far away.
Exactly. Like every year, people are like, "Oh, next year's draft is." They talk, and we don't really know until like December, January, February how the class is. Like this year, the strength of this class was like 3rd and 4th round. There are a lot of good players who were going to go in those rounds, and I think the Ravens had like 6 4th round picks. And I remember Jason Light saying that they really felt the same way. The strength of this class is some of the middle rounds, and just getting as many picks as you can is nothing but good.
Yeah, and look at this class, for example. Perrian Winfrey went in the 4th round, and he's a guy I was higher on coming into the draft than Logan Hall, who you got 33. Yep. So there's value still in the 4th round.
Kade Otton. I mean, like I said, if that guy wasn't, I know you're not super high on him, but if that guy wasn't injured, I felt like he would have been like a top 60 pick. I thought he would have been right up there with Trey McBride for tight end 1, tight end 2, right around there. Hey, it's all in the past. I don't mind the class. I think they did a pretty good job. And until I see otherwise, I will trust this front office.
Yep. And honestly, this is not the first time Jason Light's board has not matched up with mine.
Yep. Jason
Light has proven to be very good at what he does. So it's okay that it doesn't match up with mine.
Exactly.
All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this pod up?
I'm really excited to see how some of these guys play out. I think there's a lot of questions that I have that are only going to be answered in time, specifically with guys like Logan Hall and Godeki. Is that how you say his name?
I think so. I'm not positive.
Godeki? Okay. I want to see what their – I also really want to see Zion McCollum. I want to see him at some point get some reps against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Oh, that would be fun.
Because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm excited, man. It should be a fun off season. We're gonna have a lot of fun stuff to talk about whenever the season and the OTAs and all that starts getting in gear. But yeah.
All right, and then we'll do a little bit of a more overall view of the draft. Who got better in the NFC? Who's a threat to the Bucs in the NFC? Next week, when we look at the draft, look at the talk on the pod, and we'll kind of do a more overall view, touch on a little bit more then. But until then, we're out of here. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs. Thanks for listening.